6:34 this morning here on News Radio WRVA. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. A little bit later, you just heard Gary talk about the poll for Governor Spanberger. The author of that poll, Professor Jeremy Mayer, Dr. Mayer from George Mason University, joins us coming up at 7:05, so you don't want to miss that. We'll ask about the results of the poll. And then Abigail Spanberger yesterday, they called it a press conference. Again, I think she's being a little tone deaf right now. That was her standing there on the steps outside. Was it a regular press conference setting? I don't know. But you heard her say, well, you know, the only poll that matters is the one that we had where I got elected, but your numbers are starting to tank and people are asking questions. So we'll get at all of that with Dr. Mayer coming up at 7:05. I did want to bring up a story that I saw, and I was going back and forth. We do a little segment here where we call out the most ridiculous things we've ever heard. And I was originally attempting when I was talking with Super Dave about what we're going to do on the show today to put this in that ridiculous category. And that is Tammy Duckworth, lawmaker from Illinois, has decided that she wants to bring back people having to take off their shoes going through TSA. Take a listen.
How do you feel?
Now we'll play a little soundbite here.
Shoes on at TSA checkpoints. Illinois' U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth believes it is a security risk and is demanding that Homeland Security bring back its shoes off policy.
Demanding that TSA bring back its shoes off policy. Again, that was a report from NBC News in Chicago. Demanding that we bring this back. I originally was going to put it in the ridiculous category. Raise your hand if you think we want to go back to no shoes. Raise your hand if you think the DHS is going to allow people to smuggle shoe bombs on to planes. Raise your hand if you think this is a pressing need that needs demanding we bring it back. But there's a reason why you listen to this radio show. We look at things just a little bit differently. So instead of just mocking it the way that it should be, I'm going to explain why she's doing it. And when I do this, I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to show you the playbook of what goes on in Washington and why we have such ridiculousness. So most people will tell you, all right, here we go again. Washington wants you taking off your shoes again at the airport. And then I would get the eye roll. I would get some people that support it. Some people would say no. And a bunch of people would scratch their heads. They're going to, it's security. Tammy Duckworth, Illinois Democrat senator. It's about security. But after 2 decades of upgrades and changes, do you want to go backwards? Do you want to go back to taking your shoes off? Most people hated it. Most people thought it was an overreaction. The TSA thought, you know what? We really don't need to do that anymore. Technology has improved over the last 2 decades since the shoe bomber. Is it necessary anymore? No. And Kristi Noem, as DHS secretary, said, let's get rid of this silly, archaic rule that nobody likes, and we'll move on, and everyone rejoiced. Because no one liked taking their shoes off, and I don't believe, and I looked around, I didn't do a deep dive, but I don't recall anyone being arrested for anything inside their shoes. Maybe taking your shoes off prevented somebody else trying to be a shoe bomber, but we haven't seen anything like that since. Nobody's been caught with anything in their shoes as they had to take them off, put them through the metal detector. And again, it was inconvenient. It made TSA lines ridiculously long. And they weighed the pros and cons of it, and they said, let's get rid of this. Question to the senator, do you really think that TSA, DHS, and the federal government would put us at risk by saying, you know, let's just do this without thinking about it, without having any idea of what we're doing. Let's just, whatever, we'll just do it. Who cares? I think not. And that's where most people go, and then they start ridiculing Tammy Duckworth. But I'm going to show you what this is really all about. Because how many times do you see people, when they're running for office, I will fight for you. Send me to D.C. and I will fight for you, the American people. I'm fighting for the middle class. They're always wanting to fight for something. Do you remember yesterday we talked about Dragon's Lair and the main character energy that all the Democrats think they have? They're going to fight. They're going to fight Donald Trump. We hate this war in Iran and we're going to fight you. And then as soon as he gets a ceasefire, we hate this ceasefire, we're going to fight you. It's all about a fight. But why do they fight? That's what I want to pick up on today's program. It's that main character energy. You know, when you play a video game, there's the main character that you can move and toggle and everything, and then there's NPCs, non-playing characters, the background, that are just kind of standing there as background actors. Nobody in DC wants to be an NPC. Why? And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you why right now on this program. If you're able to pick a fight, you're able to make a name for yourself. If you can find an enemy to fight, you can make a name for yourself, and you become instantly recognizable. Rand Paul, prime example. He's always picking a fight over the budgets. Everybody knows his name. Lindsey Graham, how many times do you see him show up on TV? Constantly. AOC, she fights the rich for the proletariat. She's got a brand. She's got a name. You instantly recognize her. Jasmine Crockett, Gavin Newsom, they're all looking for TV time. They're all looking for someone to fight. In order to fight, you have to be on camera, and on camera, you get to what? Perform. What's Ben Shapiro call them? Theater kids? Why are they theater kids? Why are they always out there doing this? It's not about solving a problem, because they say, I'm going to fight. Let me ask you this. How many people do you have in your company that just want to fight all the time? Do they help your company get better? How many people in your family just, I'm going to fight all the time. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight for that. I'd rather have people that can solve problems. So let me ask you this. In your company right now, do you want a bunch of fighters? They're going to find things to fight? Or do you want people that can solve your problems, face your challenges, and level you up to get better? I'm looking for problem solvers. Listen, I'm willing to take that fight on as long as we're all fighting for the same thing, which is to make our collective business, cause, team better. But if you're just fighting individually to get attention, then you're not a main character. You don't have that main character energy they all walk around with. What you have is main character syndrome. What is main character syndrome? It's that person that thinks they're the center of the universe that nobody pays attention to, and they act and they scream and they yell and they carry on to try to become that main character. But no matter how hard they try and fight for that, they're always going to be an NPC, a background player, that person who sits behind the star while they're having coffee on Friends. They sit in the background and overact, trying to think they can get discovered, when really they're just supposed to sit there and be a set piece. Tammy Duckworth is nothing more than a set piece, because she's decided, I'm going to perform over this because I want to get TV time. So I'm going to say, let's get rid of the no shoes policy and make everybody take their shoes back, and I'll fight for the American people for this. She's trying to solve a problem that no one sees and no one actually wants to see solved, like taking your shoes off, because we don't think it's an issue. It's a problem. You're making up, you're looking for something to fight so you can get on television and you can get people talking about you. Now, I normally wouldn't give her the oxygen because this is such a ridiculous idea. Let's be honest. I don't know, nor does she know, whether taking your shoes off or leaving them on is going to improve Homeland Security or TSA. The TSA experts do. The Department of Homeland Security does. The government does, but she and I, we have no idea. One inspector general said, well, they're not really checking all the shoes anymore. All right, one inspector general. Did they do a full, complete review and come back with recommendations, or did she just get a hold of this and decide, this is something I can fight for? Yes, hallelujah. Probably more of the issue. So why are they always saying they're fighting? Why are they always saying this? Why are they always trying to get on television? Because what they're really doing is they're not fighting for you. They're fighting for the attention. And now I will give you the tell. Here's why they fight. She's going to be on television. She's going to go on MS Now and CNN. She might go on Fox. She'll go on with Katie Pavlich. She'll be on local television. I'm talking about her on the radio. So why is that so important to her? Are you ready for this? I looked this up. I saw this about a month ago. So I started doing my research on this. Why do all these politicians like showing up on Jesse Waters' show? Why do all these politicians like showing up in the middle of the day on cable TV? Have you ever asked yourself why they all rush to the camera? Well, now I have the tell for you. Are you ready? This is why you need to listen to this program. If you do a 5-minute hit on cable television, or any television, we'll put it that way. If you do a 5-minute hit on television, here's what it's worth. It's called earned media. So I can either buy campaign ads the way they're buying all these ads for for gerrymandering Virginia, or I have such a compelling story that I get on news. I get on television. I get interviewed. People talk about me. That's called earned media. So how much do you think all that's worth? Donald Trump rode into office in his first campaign. He didn't spend a lot of money. He had so much earned media from Fox, it propelled him into the White House. So when I started looking into this, do you realize this? So for Tammy Duckworth, as she gets on television for that 5-minute hit, it's worth anywhere from, get this, $50,000 to $250,000 of national exposure plus donations. So when you see all these big names coming on television and you think, oh, they're in there fighting for me. No, they're fighting to get on television. If you're a top-tier national figure during a peak moment, Lindsey Graham, and your soundbite goes viral, here's what it's worth. $500,000 in name recognition and donations. So for Tammy Duckworth, is she really fighting to keep us safe by making us take our shoes off? Or does she figure it out, if I can get a bunch of cable TV hits, I can raise probably $100,000 for my campaign to rerun? It's not about us. It's not about our safety. It's about them getting on TV and getting a payday and exposure and donations. So that's why they fight so hard to get on TV. That's what they're really fighting for, is your attention, not to save us from anything, but to fill their coffers so they can run for re-election again. So if this was actually about making you feel safer, they wouldn't need a press conference to sell it, would they? Something to think about. You want to comment? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140, the number for you to join us on the James River Air Text line. We read the best one, 655, 755.